I'm not a top-down leader. I like everyone to share their ideas, to tell me when they think I'm wrong, to ask questions. I as well continue to ask questions. I always have a lot of them.
Well, welcome to another episode of Friday Five with Dave Adams. This one's going to be different, though. It's going to be Friday Five with Dave Adams and my colleague, Patty Corkery. Well, if you don't know Patty, Patty has been with the MCL for 3 years, roughly, since 2018 when she hired on as EVP COO. Prior to that, she was 19 years with Holtzman Corkery, a private law firm at which she was a partner with Chuck Holtzman. She's well known in the industry. She has a great affable personality and an incredibly strong skill set. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. I think you're going to have a few surprises in this conversation, and I know that you're going to enjoy it. Well, Patty Corkery, wow, I am really looking forward to this conversation, Patty.
Oh, thanks, me too, Dave. Thanks for having me.
So I get to start with an exciting announcement. For the first time in our history, the Michigan Credit Union League and CU Solutions Group, of which MCL is a majority owner, has decided to split its management. And I'm really excited about the fact that the CUSG board is letting me stay on as president and CEO, but the MCL board, in an unprecedented, amazing move, has selected you, Patty Corkery, as its first female president and CEO. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you so much. I'm really excited and really honored to be offered the position. I have big shoes to fill, but I'm super excited about it. I'm really excited.
So this is something that, I've been working on. I don't know if you perceive that you and I have been working on it, but I've been working on it since 2018 when I sought you out to see if you would consider coming to work for MCL as our EVP, COO, and General Counsel. And all along the way, it was my vision and my hope that we would work well together, that you would thrive and enjoy the position such that this day could come. And you've surpassed all of my expectations. And I know, having visited recently with the MCL board, I know they're really excited to have you as their new CEO.
Thank
So
you.
let me just ask you, what are you most looking forward to?
Well, I think, what I'm most looking forward to is really just continuing with my credit union journey. I got on the journey in January of 2000 when I started in private practice representing credit unions. So for that 19-year period, I was a fierce advocate for credit unions, not only in Michigan, but some around the country. And that's really where my journey started. And coming over to the league was kind of just another change, but still the same industry that I am so passionate about. And now going on to this next level, it's really just staying on the same path. And for me, that's incredibly exciting because, as you know, Dave, most credit union people, once they're on the path, they regret if they get off of it. Once you're in the industry, you want to stay in the industry, and that's exactly where I'm at. So I think just working with our Michigan credit unions and our CUSG team and continuing on that path is what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, so it sounds cliche, but you get out of a position what you put into it, and I know that you're going to lead differently than me, and that's a good thing. And you should be careful what you ask for, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna ask the question: how do you plan to lead differently, and what will your priorities be? How will they be different? Because you're a different person than I am, thank goodness. And I think that it's going to be exciting to see how you approach this important position.
Yeah, well, I think, my foundation is a bit different than yours, Dave, coming into it with 20 years of legal experience. I think that will help me in terms of the advocacy role and just dealing with some of the regulations, of course, the huge burdens that our credit unions have to face there. So I think that foundation makes me a bit different. Coming in as the first woman CEO, I think that brings with it, some nuances in terms of leadership style, maybe. But similar to you, Dave, I mean, I think I'm going to approach it as a very collaborative role. I still have a lot to learn, and I have an amazing team that I'm grateful that you had selected for me, with especially with Kieran and Renee, such very strong focus on what they do in the advocacy, education, and communication space. That really just working with them on kind of our collective vision for the league is something that I really look forward to doing.
I like what you said about the differences that leaders bring to positions. I have a finance degree and an MBA, and I don't have a legal background. And I'm going to make myself vulnerable and say there have been times where I've struggled a bit with the technicalities of changes to laws and regulations. And you have that great strength, but you also have the affable personality. One of the things that attracted me to you as a new hire to the organization is the network of people in the industry, because you were working in law practice with
Hmm.
Holtzman Corkery with Chuck Holtzman, and it was all about the people. We're in the people
Yeah,
business. That's another cliche.
yeah.
And so talk about team. What does team mean to you? I mean, you have your staff, you have your board team, and you have colleagues in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I think it starts even earlier than that. As most people know, my dad was in the credit union industry. And so I grew up with it for sure. And my brother, credit union CEO. And so it started really early for me. But just thinking, kind of thinking about preparing for our discussion, Dave, it's just really so heartwarming to think about over the last 20 plus years, just the different credit union people that I've kind of come up with. I think about like Rob Bava, who was just kind of getting his feet wet as CEO of Community Choice when I started, and how he's progressed, and Dreama Isaac soon after she came to Michigan, and even Michael Polis at Michigan First. They were relatively new to Michigan. And so over the last 2 decades, just kind of coming up and watching these other leaders has been super inspiring, and working with them has been great. And I know, also in the industry, starting with MCUL, really getting to know even more of our strong women leaders that we have here in Michigan. Certainly, our board chairwoman, Heather, getting to know her over the years. My good friends, Patty Campbell, Jackie Buchanan, Chrissy Siders, Karma Peters, just all those strong powerhouse women that we have that are not only active with MCUL, but in the industry, has been really inspiring. And I rely on them, and I go to them with questions and ideas, and it's been great. As far as our internal team, certainly, as I mentioned, Kieran and Renee are amazing, and just our whole MCUL team, the advocacy team that we have, with Todd and Haley, and Kieran and Maria, and then just on the communication side with our own Rick Weaver and Sean. I mean, they're so dedicated to what they do. And our education team, as we all know, is top notch, headed up by Renee and her great team. And I'm just inspired by them. And I think what makes them so good at what they do is their passion for what they do. I don't think if they thought of their jobs as the 9 to 5, or weren't super excited about the credit union industry, we'd be a different league. But because we have such passionate people, it makes such a huge difference. And what an easy job I have in leading a group like that, right? I mean, they make it so easy. But I'm really excited, and then to be involved with CUSG, of course, and the great team that you have there, Dave. I mean, all of the great talent, COOs, that they bring so many different skills and qualities to the table. It's been great over the last 3 years or so to get to know them and see where their strengths lie, and it's a great organization all around.
Very well said. And again, the cliche that this is a people business, but it's just so true. So whether you're a service provider or a vendor, or you're an association, especially, I mean, it's about relationships and
Mhm.
fostering those. And it takes certain leadership skills, I think, to do that well. So I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask you, kind of like a job interview that you don't have to do because you don't work for me anymore. But what are your unique strengths? What are some of the unique strengths that you think you bring to this new CEO position?
Well, I think I touched on one of them already, just being very collaborative. I'm not a top-down leader. I like everyone to share their ideas, to tell me when they think I'm wrong, to ask questions. I as well continue to ask questions. I always have a lot of them. I recognize that there's a lot of people at the table that know more about a certain topic than I do. And I'm not afraid to ask those questions. But I think one thing that I've really learned, and maybe as you get older, you get more comfortable just really being yourself. And I think people who know me, I'm the same no matter what room I'm in. I'm in the same when I talk to you. I'm the same person when I'm in with a lawmaker, when I'm in with our board, in at a credit union. I'm just myself. And I think that that has really helped me over the years, just to be very approachable. And I like to laugh. I like to make other people laugh. And I think it's important to try and have a good time as you're working really hard to try and get the job done. So I guess I would start with
Yeah,
those.
and I'm going to help answer that question from my perspective. I think you have a great blend of right brain and left brain skills, right? You have that technical side, the understanding of the law, and quick study, very bright on anything that comes across your desk. But you also have those right brain skill sets that are so important. And on Friday Five, I've interviewed a lot of great credit union industry leaders, and it seems to always come back to authenticity
Mhm.
and empathy and gaining the trust of the people on your team. I think you do that really well, and it's been fun to watch. So
Thanks.
I think our Michigan credit union industry and our broader national industry that you'll be a part of is really in for a great experience with you at the helm of MCUL.
And thanks, Dave.
So we're going to transition. Friday Five will move to you, and it's going to be Friday Five with Patty Corkery. And I'm going to kind of pass the torch. So I guess I will kind of wrap this up by saying, if you have questions for me, Patty.
Yeah, I sure do. And yeah, let's start with Friday Five, Dave. I mean, it's been such a great tool, like you said, to kind of connect with our leaders and to not only learn more as their association, but to spread to everyone else, different knowledge and expertise that people have. And I think everyone's kind of curious about different leadership styles or different things that are going on at different credit unions or QSOs. So, what have you enjoyed most, Dave, about hosting Friday Five?
Well, during this pandemic, what I've often said about it, and I give credit to you and the communications team for coming up with the idea in the first place. And, rather than doing these recordings in studio, we're literally having Zoom calls that we
Yeah.
record. And that's fairly common right now in this pandemic world. But I would say what I've really enjoyed is it's helped me have a connection to the people I miss working with, right? It's not in person like we prefer, but just to be able to share that conversation and then to be able to in turn push it out to the rest of the industry. I think people have enjoyed getting to know each other through this virtual forum because it's the best we can do right now. That's probably the main thing.
Yeah. So, what advice do you have for me going in as a host?
Oh, well, just do it. Don't do it my way. I think you're gonna bring such a
No.
unique style. Again, you always do with everything you do. I think just as it's time for a change at MCUL after 24 years with me as at the helm, I think that it'll be good for Friday Five to mix it up and to have your communication style um, as the host.
Yeah, I look forward to it. So let's talk about that a little bit, Dave. Obviously, you worked really hard with both the MCUL and the CUSG board on this transition of kind of splitting the management. Maybe you can share with us kind of what your thoughts were there, why now, and what this
Mhm.
means for MCUL and CUSG.
Well, I'm going to give my age away. I've been a CEO for 33, 34 years. And I started when I was 29 at the Utah Credit Union League, and then 6 years in Washington State, and 24 fast moving years here. Um, and I have to say that obviously we talk about succession. I plan to work another 4 years, and I'm going to be completely focused on CUSG as its CEO. Looking forward to that. I'm energized by it. I I'm going to miss the trade association side terribly. I really am, and I'm so glad that it's being left in good hands. But the process has really been about the reality of succession and the fact that CUSG has grown into a pretty complex national QSO with 130 employees and $30 million in revenue and all kinds of investments with more coming. And so I'm really looking forward to working with my incredible leadership team on the CUSG side and with the CUSG board to keep the momentum going while watching a bit from the sidelines, although as partners with you in seeing all the great things that you and the MCL team are going to do with the association.
Well, you're always welcome back, Dave. Anytime, especially when you want to come and hike the hill with us, we'd be happy to
Oh,
have you. Happy to have you.
absolutely.
So what does the future look like for CUSG, and what are some of your priorities going into that full time, so to speak?
Well, so we have great product offerings and we have a fabulous team, but the highest priority is to invest in businesses and products that help credit unions be successful. CUSG is fortunate to have $50 million in capital that can be invested, and our board approved a couple of those investments today. So it's investing in new products and in new business lines while continuing to invest in the core solutions that we have now in the areas of technology, marketing, HR solutions, performance solutions rather, and strategic advisory services. So I guess in a word, it would be invest in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And what a great team there. I know you mentioned the different divisions and just our phenomenal CFO and Wendy and our HR team that we have with Amanda and Mary Rabin, of course. And it's just such a great team. And that's really a credit to you, Dave, for putting that together. And I know, no one's going to think that you're gone. This isn't a retirement. This is you just making the decision along with the boards to kind of transition the leadership. So I know I really look forward to continuing our partnership and working hand in hand with CUSG and with you. And so I hesitate to say any sort of parting words, but as far as on the trade association side, Dave, I mean, there's just no one that I talk to in Michigan that, everyone just has so much respect for you. And I remember one of the things I was thinking about with this position is like, I remember early on being at different MCUL events and I would watch, and I'm like, oh, there's Dave Adams coming into the room, the president of the league. And then it's kind of weird to think, oh my gosh, that's kind of me now. It just seems weird, but just that respect that Michigan has for you and the leadership that you've had on the trade association side and all the things that you've done. And it's been great for me over the last few years to really watch and learn how you run an association. And I know you'll still be there for me when I have questions, and I will be reaching out, of course. But just thanks for everything that you've
Well,
done and your confidence in me. I really appreciate it.
well, those are very, very, very generous, kind words, but you've already broken two of the ground rules for this interview. One, you were not to say anything that would make my head swell. And two, you're not supposed to make me cry. So those are
Oh,
very kind words and very generous. And let me just wrap up for those watching and listening to this. We wanted to do this unusual Friday 5 with Dave Adams and Patty Corkery to make this announcement along with our press release. But we also wanted to, for those who haven't yet worked with Patty, and I don't think that's very many people, but I wanted people to be able to meet you as we made this announcement. I couldn't be more delighted. I know because I've spent the day in board meetings and know that the board is just very excited. I look forward to sharing this news with our staff tomorrow, actually, and by the time this video is edited and goes out. But just a huge congratulations to you. And as you said so well, I'm really looking forward to the continued partnership between MCUL and CUSG. Although we have separate management, you will be on the board of directors of CUSG. MCUL will be represented on that board, and we will be partners in crime, so to speak, for a long time to come.
for sure. And I look forward to it, Dave. Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed the conversation, so that's it. Friday 5 with Dave Adams and Patty Corkery. And Patty, looking forward to the future episodes as you put your own unique spin on the broadcast.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Dave. Well, that was a great conversation. Thanks so much, Dave. I was really looking forward to that, and I was excited to be your guest, and really excited to share the news with the industry. I'm really grateful to the MCOL board for this amazing honor of serving as the first woman president and CEO of the league. I'm very excited about the opportunity that gives me, and humbled to be in this role with our amazing Michigan credit union industry. And before I close out, I didn't want to forget to thank my very supportive family. I know they'll be watching this video, my parents and my brother, who have been there with me along this journey, as well as my daughter, Julia. I am very fortunate to have a lot of support. And I also want to thank one of my biggest credit union mentors, and that's Chuck Holzman, who I've worked with hand in hand for several years. And I really appreciate his guidance, all of the introductions, and his friendship. So moving forward, I'm excited to continue to host this great podcast and show. I have some good ideas that we're starting to put together, and you'll see some future episodes coming down the road for sure. We think it's a great format. We've heard wonderful feedback from the industry that they really like this. So I'm really excited to serve as the new host, and I'm very excited to serve as the new president and CEO of the Michigan Credit Union League. Thank you.